Welcome to today's Explainer. Today, we're putting on our international business advisor hats to unpack exactly how foreign capital shapes the destiny of a developing island nation. We're looking at Fiji, and we're going to explore the precise nuts and bolts mechanisms of how foreign investment, multinational companies, and global trade agreements interact to drive economic growth. And of course, we'll dig into the unique systemic challenges they bring along the way.
Okay, let's just jump right in with a number that literally makes you stop and stare. Negative $1,031.6 million. That's right, we are looking at an over $1 billion deficit in Fiji's current and capital account balance for the year 2025, straight from the Fiji Bureau of Statistics. As a business advisor, when you see a $1 billion deficit in a small island economy, you immediately have to ask, where on earth is that money going and how do we bridge that massive gap?
To figure out why that massive number matters so much, we've got to understand the balance of payments, or the BOP. Think of the BOP as the ultimate macroeconomic ledger for a country. It's a strict, unforgiving record of all the economic transactions between Fiji and the rest of the world over a given year. It tracks every single dollar flowing in and every single dollar flowing out. Basically, it shows whether the country is earning enough foreign exchange to keep the lights on, and it serves as the ultimate scorecard for the nation's economic strength.
To make sense of all this, we'll analyze this ledger through 5 phases. 1. The macro landscape. 2. The growth engine. 3. The facilitators. 4. Risk assessment. And 5. The official study guide. Let's get into it.
Section 1. The macro landscape. Dissecting Fiji's economic baseline.
So, what's actually driving that massive billion-dollar deficit? Well, it essentially boils down to structural challenges that consistently drain Fiji's foreign exchange. Fiji faces an incredibly high import bill simply because it has to bring in absolute essentials from overseas, things like fuel, heavy machinery, and even certain foods. Now, combine that high costs with lower export earnings and unpredictable natural disasters that just wreck local production, and you get a severe structural deficit. This high dependence on foreign goods means money is constantly, inevitably, flowing right out of the country.
Moving to Section 2, the growth engine. Foreign direct investment and multinational companies.
Because there are limited local savings to fund massive development projects, an advisor has to look outward. Fiji faces inherent constraints simply by being a small island economy. There is limited local capital, limited technology, and a smaller pool of skilled labor. The solution? Foreign direct investment, or FDI. FDI perfectly fills those crucial gaps. It doesn't just bring in the money, it brings the modern technology and the management practices completely necessary to scale up the economy.
To make this super concrete, let's look at the actual global heavyweights actively injecting capital into Fiji. These multinational companies, or MNCs, are everywhere. In tourism, you've got Marriott, Hilton, and Shangri-La. They're driving foreign exchange and employing thousands of locals. Over in telecom, companies like the UK's Vodafone and China's Huawei are literally building the country's digital backbone. In finance, you see Australia's ANZ and Westpac. These MNCs operate on a massive scale, bringing global brand recognition and, most importantly, very deep pockets into the local market.
But here is the absolutely crucial point. This isn't just about money changing hands. It is a multi-step transformation. It starts with capital injection for huge projects. But step 2 is where the magic happens: technology transfer. When a company like Vodafone sets up shop, they don't just build a network and leave. They train local workers on advanced communication tech, which fundamentally upgrades the skills of the local workforce. And finally, step 3, revenue generation. These massive companies pay taxes, duties, and license fees. That directly funds the Fiji government's ability to build roads, schools, and hospitals. It's a whole ecosystem of growth.
Section 3. The facilitators. Trade agreements as strategic levers.
Now, foreign capital doesn't just flow naturally on its own. It requires some serious strategic plumbing. If Fiji is producing goods with foreign technology, it desperately needs favorable markets to sell them in. That requires 3 tiers of trade agreements. Multilateral agreements like the WTO or PACER Plus involve tons of countries and open up global markets. Bilateral agreements are direct, one-on-one handshakes like deals specifically with Australia or China. And regional agreements, like the Melanesian Spearhead Group or Spartica, build really vital trade zones right within Fiji's Pacific neighborhood.
You can think of these agreements as very specific levers to help fix that balance of payments deficit we talked about earlier. For instance, the bilateral Fiji-EU agreement allows duty-free and quota-free access for Fiji's sugar and fish. That directly and immediately boosts export earnings. Meanwhile, a bilateral relationship with China brings in concessional loans and massive investments.
By aggressively negotiating these deals, Fiji actively improves its financial inflows and maximizes the real-world effectiveness of all that foreign investment.
Section 4. Risk Assessment. Weighing the costs of dependence.
An objective business advisor can't just look at the upsides. We have to weigh the systemic risks too. It's definitely not all positive capital inflows. While FDI builds great infrastructure, local businesses often seriously struggle to compete with the sheer scale and power of these multinational companies. Plus, these massive corporations can sometimes throw their weight around, influencing government policy, maybe pressuring leaders for extended tax holidays. There's also the environmental impact to consider. Heavy tourism and manufacturing can lead to pollution that challenges local environmental policies. And we can't ignore the cultural influence, where the dominating presence of global brands can sometimes water down local cultural traditions.
But honestly, as your advisor, I've got to tell you the absolute biggest risk on the ledger is this: profit repatriation. This is the ultimate paradox of FDI. Fiji brings in these huge foreign companies to invest capital and boost the local economy, right? But when those companies inevitably make a profit, a massive share of that money is boxed up and sent right back to their home countries. And guess what? On the balance of payments ledger, that counts as a direct outflow. So the very same companies brought in to help fix the economic balance can simultaneously drain the country's foreign exchange when they send their profits home. It's a huge catch-22.
Section 5. The Executive Summary. The Official Study Guide.
All right, let's consolidate all this macro-level analysis into some clear, structured takeaways. You might want to grab a screenshot of this one. This is your definitive breakdown in the balance of payments. Notice exactly where day-to-day trade like tourism and sugar exports over in the current account differs from heavy investment flows like FDI and foreign reserves in the financial account. Understanding this table is absolutely key to understanding how a deficit literally forces a country to either borrow money or bleed its foreign reserves.
Next up is your cheat sheet on trade agreements. This beautifully maps out exactly how Fiji negotiates on the global stage, the regional stage, and the one-on-one bilateral stage to secure vital markets for its local goods and secure those essential foreign investments to keep its economy driving forward.
And finally, here is our balanced assessment. This lays out the immense benefits, the jobs, the technology transfer, the shiny new infrastructure, right side by side with the very real structural risks, like profit repatriation and environmental damage. As you can see, for policymakers, managing this is a true high-wire tightrope walk.
As we close out this explainer, I really want you to consider this ultimate dilemma. Can a small island nation truly balance foreign investment with its own economic independence? How does a developing nation build its future using foreign money without eventually losing control of its own ledger? It's an incredibly complex puzzle, no doubt about it. But with the framework we've laid out today, you are now fully equipped to analyze it just like a true international business advisor. Thanks so much for learning with us today, and keep asking the big questions.